Before we get into this video, I just want to say that if you are feeling negative, you're feeling down, you're feeling bad about the Z Fold 6, you don't think it looks good at all, I am not trying to invalidate your opinion. If I read your comment here in a little bit, I'm not saying you are wrong. All I am doing is I'm saying that the overwhelming majority of my viewers seem to have a down opinion about the Z Fold 6, and as a thought experiment, a thought exercise, I'm going to try and spin things the other way just to give another perspective. I hope that's clear. Let's get into the video. Every single time I post a video talking about the Galaxy Z Fold 6, it kind of surprises me how negative the comments are. I'm going to show you something really quickly. These are some comments on a video that I just posted talking about the crease on the Z Fold 6, and this is indicative of like all the videos that I post. If you want a foldable, go with Chinese phones. They respect their users. Samsung doesn't care. People will still buy it. Samsung is stagnant. The only thing it has going for it is $1,000 trade-in values. OnePlus is a lot better. It goes on and on. Like, these are just in a row. Like, I didn't, like, piece these together. We can keep going. Samsung has become so boring. The 5 was lacking. Now the 6 is subpar. Samsung is a joke. It just goes on and on. People are just not impressed with what they're seeing with the Z Fold 6. So I decided I wanted to do something different in this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my most positive, most optimistic take on the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Rather than leaning into the negativity and harping about how not enough has changed and the price and the specs, I'm going to tell you the best things that I'm aware of about the Z Fold 6. And I think that we have to start with the actual design of the device. I am personally in favor of this sort of boxy redesign that the Z Fold 6 appears to be undergoing. Now, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work ergonomically, right? Like, there's a reason that so many phones are sort of rounded and so forth, because when you hold them in your hand, round things just seem to be more comfortable because of the shape of our hands. So that's going to be something that we'll have to kind of wait and see. Is it actually as comfortable as it used to be? But I do like the aesthetics here. It really does fit in right alongside the S24 Ultra, and I think that that is a very smart move. I also want to point out that even though the cover display is not as wide as I would want it to be, I would actually want it to be wider and shorter. I know I'm crazy, but, you know, there's a reason that I love this phone as much as I do, but at any rate, it's not as wide as I would want it to be. But this nonsense that it's not gotten any wider at all is just not true. It has gotten wider. The device itself is staying about the same width, as you can see, the Fold 6 on top of the Fold 5 in this imagery, but they have shrunk the area of the hinge to the left of the screen pretty dramatically, and this has allowed them to make that cover display a significant amount, to me, wider. Again, not as much as I would want, but it is a step in the right direction. We also have to talk about the fact that it is getting lighter. It's actually supposed to be 239 grams. That puts it right there with the OnePlus Open. So, from that hardware perspective, what I'm seeing here is a lot of refinement, right? It's matching the aesthetic of the S24 Ultra. It's getting a ton lighter. The cover display is getting a bit wider, which should make it a lot easier for that one-handed use, and it should make normal applications work a little bit better. I know some Samsung people actually like that remote control style thing. They feel like they can hold on to it better. Granted, I would tell you that holding something is not the same as using something, but I digress. It's a step in the right direction, even if it's a small step in the right direction. Now, we did just get done talking about the crease on the Z Fold 6, and yes, this is a dummy unit, which means you can't look at this and say that this is going to be one-to-one, that this is exactly what it's going to look like. But I do think that it's going to be closer than you may think. I actually think that's going to be pretty reasonably close to what the crease on the Z Fold 6 is going to look like. We hear these rumors every year that the crease is improved, and then it comes out and you have to like squint to be able to see where that crease has actually improved, but it has a little bit. And that is something that I think some people will be disappointed with. We have devices like the OnePlus Open that have a much less visible crease. A lot of Chinese phones have a much less visible crease, but let's push back on this a little bit, right? What does Samsung have? They have a hinge that allows them to have IPX8 rating, which basically means It's kind of water resistant. It's not great against dust, but the OnePlus Open is IPX4. This is IPX8, and that's the trade-off that they are making, right? So the hinge that they use is not conducive to a hard-to-see crease, but it is conducive to better water resistance, and I think that that is an important factor that you have to keep in mind. A lot of these Chinese phones that look great have no IP rating. Quickly, if you don't know what IPX8 means, it means you can take your Z Fold, put it in a meter of fresh water, and it should be okay for half an hour. That's something you can't do with your OnePlus Open, or you certainly should not try. Another thing that absolutely gets overlooked this time of year when we're looking at leaks is the software, right? Because we're getting leaks of renders, we're getting dummy units, we're potentially getting marketing material, which I cannot actually show you. What we don't really get too much of is software leaks, because that stuff just seems to be easier to hide. Well, what does Samsung have to offer there? You can make a pretty strong argument that in terms of these foldable devices, they have the best software suite of anybody else. I'm a big fan of the Pixel software experience, but I'm going to be honest, when it comes to a cohesive foldable experience, when it comes to the power user experience, you know, split screening with, 3 different applications on screen all at the same time. Don't forget that you do have that floating window as well. Now, we do have to say for sure, shout out to OnePlus for Open Canvas. It is fantastic. But Samsung has some great stuff as well. And they also have things like the S Pen, which is something that really sets them apart from the other competitors. And they have a whole bunch of new AI stuff that has just rolled out, like generative edit, the ability to generate wallpapers on the fly, all of the text generation LLM stuff, and guess what? There's going to be more coming with the Z Fold 6. So yes, you can say the hardware is maybe a little bit stagnant, even though I can push back in the ways that I just did. But the software stuff, guys, Samsung software is still really, really good. And you know what else is good? The Samsung ecosystem. They have some great laptops. They have great tablets, which you probably won't need if you have a Z Fold. They have great smart watches. You can have that whole plethora of Samsung products, really be invested in that ecosystem. And look, if you're already invested in that ecosystem to begin with, it is the way to go, because it's just going to work better together with all those products, earbuds, so forth. Smart rings are coming, so forth and so on. I think that is a really important thing as well. Now, look, one or a couple of negatives that I have to point out here is the fact that the camera hardware is not getting upgraded. We've had the same camera hardware since what, the Z Fold like 3? I'm pretty sure 3, 4, 5, and now 6 have been effectively the same. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just 4, 5, and 6. I think that might actually be right, 4, 5, and 6. But still, that is far too long for the camera hardware to have effectively remained the same. Yes, the software can improve the camera performance quite a bit, but at a certain point, something has to give. You have to do something to keep up with your competitors. OnePlus has phenomenal camera hardware, and of course, Google with their Pixel has pretty good camera hardware and the best processing in the world as far as I'm concerned. There's a reason the A-series phones consistently win blind camera tests from people like MKBHD. It's Google. They do a great job. Factor in that the rumor is we might be seeing a $100 price increase as well. And yeah, that is a little bit of a recipe for some disappointment, right? The camera stays the same while the price is going up. Camera's a big deal to people. And I got to admit, that is a negative, and it's something that is worth mentioning. But one more thing that I think we absolutely have to mention is that this is not going to be a 3-horse race in the conventional sense. We're not going to have a OnePlus Open 2 alongside the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and which I hope to whoever that is not going to be the name of that phone, the Pixel Fold 2. There's not going to be 3. It's going to be the Z Fold 6 and the Pixel Fold 2. The OnePlus Open 2 is apparently not coming until 2025. There's an old adage that I like a lot that says, you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than the guy next to you, and that's kind of the situation Samsung finds themselves in. They don't have to be the best foldable in the world, they just have to be better than the Pixel Fold 2, because we're talking about the United States, right? So in China, these other markets where Huawei is dominant, yeah, they need to be doing a lot more to compete in those markets. South Korea, you'd think they have a pretty good foothold there. America, got a pretty good foothold there and pretty limited competition. China's a problem, but if you hold these other two, you're probably in pretty solid shape, and that seems to be what Samsung is thinking. What will Google have to offer? That remains to be seen. But again, competition has dropped off just a little bit, only after 1 year. So guys, that's kind of what I think in terms of like why you would be positive or optimistic about the Z Fold 6. It's going to be super refined hardware. It's going to be super refined software that has been iterated on and built around these foldables for now 6 full generations. It's getting lighter, it's getting sleeker, it's getting new features day by day. All these AI features that you may hate, but personally, I think generative edit is really, really cool. I love generating wallpapers. I think some of the stuff is genuinely useful, and it's of course going to get all that stuff and more, and no OnePlus Open 2 to compete against. That's where I'm at, guys. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Even if you're kind of negative on the Z Fold 6, try and spin that around. Like, do this as like a thought exercise, because that's kind of what I'm doing here. Like, why would you be positive? Drop a comment down there about what you do think looks good about this device, just to put a spin on things. Let's try and shake off the negativity just a little bit, because honestly, it's getting to be a little bit of a bummer for me. So guys, thanks for watching. I'll be down there in those comments. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.